The content you're about to enjoy comes from the archives of The Best You. We're devoted to the very best in personal development, with a platform and resources dedicated to inspiring and changing people's lives. At The Best You, we work with the world's leading writers and trainers on the evolution of the self, and people whose journeys have been affected by their work and words. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.
Lauren Riley. Lauren is an entrepreneur, qualified solicitor, and the proud founder of the Link app. Ever since she began studying law, Lauren has been determined to give law a facelift and is a firm believer that today's leading firms can retain their traditional values while embracing innovation. After graduating with honours in a degree in law from Lancaster University in 2006, Lauren concluded her postgraduate diploma in law with distinction. Specializing in family law, taking on cases such as separation, divorce, or property ownership, Lauren was driven to ensure she could make a difference for those in need of support. Her appearance on the BBC, The Apprentice, in 2014 was an opportunity not only to get backing for her innovative business idea, the Link app, but also the perfect way to show that women can earn their place in the boardroom without losing their femininity. She's a very inspiring lady, and my work with her, was interviewing her for the Best You magazine, and I found her very intelligent and also very driven. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy this interview. Thank you so much.
Hi, and welcome to Inspiring People. I'm Bernardo, editor and publisher of The Best You, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing Lauren Riley, who is a solicitor in law and also an entrepreneur. Hi, Lauren.
Yes, hi, good morning.
Thank you for being here today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up and where are you from?
Okay, so I'm from the northwest of England, as you can probably pick up from my accent. So I grew up on the Fylde coast, which is quite a sleepy part of the northwest of England, just on the seaside there. But I now live in London, obviously, for the business and what I'm up to at the moment. And I've actually bounced around a few places. I've lived in Leeds, Manchester, and abroad before, so quite a wide experience of soaking in different cultures, but yeah, London now.
And tell me about your early years. What was school like for you?
I was fairly fortunate. I was quite academic. My mum was a school teacher, which also helped because there was no being naughty and things like that. I was quite focused from a young age, I would say, but school was pleasant at the time. I don't think anybody appreciates how good you've got it at the time because, you know, when you grow up and you're in the working world and you look back, you know, they are just, you know, magical days. But yeah, I enjoyed school and I made some really good friends that I still have now.
And were there any particular subjects or something that you stood out, you enjoyed more?
I was quite creative. I actually thought I might end up in the theatre. So I danced quite heavily outside of school. Then I did drama and theatre and anything sort of creative as well. So I was academic and fortunately I did quite well on those subjects, but my passions were more outside of the academic stuff, something I could really express myself within.
Were there anybody or something in particular that inspired you when you were younger? Or?
No, I mean, like I said, because I was, you know, whenever I went to a musical or something like that, I would say that inspired me. Obviously didn't inspire me for the career that I ended up in, but I just drew magic out of things like that, like watching Disney films or going to the theatre, watching your Cats or something as a young age sort of really inspired me to take on my extracurricular activities. And even though, you know, I'm not an actress or I'm not on the stage now, I do think there's a lot of transferable skills that you learn as a youngster. I think confidence is massive. Obviously, public speaking, presenting, things like that all really help when you're older, I found.
You told me your mum's a teacher, but did you have any brothers and sisters?
No, I don't actually. No. I'm an only child, which I know usually receives some funny looks, but I genuinely like to think I'm not spoilt. I certainly wasn't.
No, great, okay. Tell me a little bit about university. What was university like for you?
University for me was a little bit of a struggle, actually. I didn't take the normal route because I had a job at the time, or I got a job to help fund with uni and things like that. So I was working locally to where I grew up. So I actually travelled to university. I went to Lancaster University, which was very highly regarded academically, which was great, and I knew would help set me on my path on the way, but I didn't live in. At the time, I felt a little bit young as well because 18 is different to different people. So I actually travelled. I drove to university most days. And that was fine academically. I was still able to do the same as everybody else. But socially speaking, it was very different. I know a lot of people are best friends with the people that they met at university, whereas for me, it was turn up, study, leave, and obviously I'd socialised at home or I worked at home. So yeah, it's a little bit of a sad story, I suppose, compared to most people could tell you stories all day about their university life. But for me, it was just about getting that degree and doing well at it and then using that as a stepping stone elsewhere, which I don't think is very good advice for people because I know that a lot of employers really value the extracurricular stuff that you do at university. So the sports teams, etc. I know that that's something employers are looking for to demonstrate more than academics, but I was able to demonstrate the employment skills, I suppose.
Yeah, but you focused also more on getting your degree done and
absolutely.
getting out of the way. Absolutely. Tell me a little bit after the Apprentice finished. Tell me what happened after that. What was your journey then?
So after we finished filming, like I said, I was able to get the business up and running to be able to talk about. And then after the actual show was televised, after it aired, of course, it's a different world, isn't it? Was very fortunate. I went to some really great parties and I still continue to do so. And I've made some great friends in that industry and I've been able to do some media stuff, which is really important to me because I'm able to talk about the things that I'm passionate about. So women in business, I'm female, I'm young, I'm mixed race, which is a different demographic than people usually think of when they think of law. So I'm looking to promote a new face of law as well. And then obviously social media is massive. So Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, for example, have all been, I have lots and lots of followers, which is great because it's really interactive. So I'm able to tell them what I'm up to and they're able to tell me, what things I'm doing that are inspirational to them. And that's great. Real value to me as well to know that I'm helping other people as well as just doing what I would be doing day to day. I think social media is really important forum for encouraging people.
If you're interested in working with me, contributing to the magazine, maybe speaking at any of our many events around the world, partnering or licensing The Best You, go to www.thebestyou.co. We were talking before about part of what people should be looking for or should have is kind of the right attitude, having the right frame of mind, being positive. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts regarding entrepreneurship and business? What are the right attitude? What is it that's needed?
I mean, I think being your own boss, and it sounds great, and it is great, but it is hard work. So I think, before people embark down that path, it requires some real consideration. Things always take longer than you want them to, and you always work longer hours working for yourself than you would for anybody else, unfortunately. But it's its own reward as well. It is great. So in terms of attitude, you need a hell of a lot of determination and grit to be an entrepreneur. And also an expertise or a passion in something. So even though my background isn't in tech, my background is in law, so I understand law firms and their wants and needs and their clients' wants and needs inside out. So that's able to form every decision that I make for my own business. But it doesn't have to be law, obviously. If you were passionate about something, even as a hobby, to pursue that into business or to pursue what you do as in employment to self-employment, they're great lateral steps rather than sort of plucking something out of the air and trying to run with it. That will be my biggest piece of advice is, either have the expertise or the passion to be able to carry something off.
Yeah, the passion is very important, but also, as you said, it's kind of having that those values, whatever it is that you're looking and trying to achieve. You've got to have something that's very strong and that drives you there.
Yeah. You
had probably the thought of developing this app, I suppose, quite a few years, and it took you a long time to get there. Yeah,
I mean, I'd probably had it by the time we started filming The Apprentice. I'd had the idea just under a year, say, and the first steps are the hardest. That's the cliche of the century, but they really are, because you don't quite know where to begin. And once my journey is more advanced and I'm able to talk about the success of the Link app, I'd love to put back into young entrepreneurs and tell them exactly and break down my journey, how it's been, because I think you just think, oh, I've got this great idea, but what do I do with that? And there are a lot of government resources out there, and obviously people are surprisingly willing to help you out, but it's still, you don't know where the first footfall is. So yeah, it's quite tough, and yeah, you do need determination, and it's going to take a lot of your time, and you're not going to get paid for the first part of it. So you really need that grit and determination to carry you there, definitely.
Be committed.
Be committed, yeah.
And how's it you decided to get into law? Was that something that you thought when you were younger?
I think it went right back. I either wanted to be an actress or a barrister. And I think I must have seen movies or something and thought, that's a good job. I want to be a lawyer because that looks important and they look like they're doing really well for themselves. And then, as I went further and further along, I actually realised it was, really what I wanted to do. And actually that's obviously what I turned out to be. So lucky enough.
It was a lot of people don't actually find their path maybe till later in life. But what is it about law that attracted you? What is it you want to become a lawyer or a barrister?
The reason I really like being a lawyer is because I'm a family lawyer, so I help people going through separations, divorce, the children issues. And it sounds a bit cliche, but I really feel like I make a difference. I really enjoy the client contact. Obviously, you had to study very hard to become a lawyer. And I didn't actually find that path straight away. I actually deviated midway through my career to date. But yeah, I feel like I make a difference and I enjoy it day to day.
Great. So from there on, tell me a little bit after you finished and you got your degree. What was your journey then?
So I did straight law. So I did high school, I did my A-levels, and then I did my university degree. And then I said, you know what? Hands up, I can't sit another exam. I'm fed up of this. It's such hard work. I want to be in the working world. I want to be doing something different. So I actually went and then worked abroad for a little while. So in nothing related to law whatsoever. I was actually a holiday rep, so completely different. But you do actually learn a surprising amount of transferable skills. So I did enjoy that. But obviously it was something completely different. I did that for a year. And then I've always been interested in business. So I did a business graduate scheme for a car company. Again, very far away from the law, but, I learned a breadth of skills that are really helping me now as an entrepreneur. And I think it's okay not to quite have it all together. I think there's a lot of pressure on young people, say in their early 20s, to know exactly what they want to do. And, it's quite tough because, there's so much out there and you could just really be anything. So one bit of advice I would give is actually, try things out, because I don't feel that anything I did, even working abroad, was a waste of time, because I gained life skills. I gained real things that I could talk about in an interview over and above just law. So experiment.
That's great advice. Thank you. So let's go to the Apprentice. How does one decide to go on the Apprentice? Do they approach you? How does that happen? So
you have to apply. There was, I think, 35,000 applicants the year that I was successful. So I was pretty lucky. So I'd had the idea for what's now my business, the Link app, before I made the application, and I needed the investment and I needed a bit of a steer on it. So why not? You make the application, you don't think you're going to be successful necessarily, and then each stage of interview rolled on and I was successful and I did it, and here I am today. So yeah, what an experience. Amazing
experience. So explain to us kind of the process, because obviously, as you said, 35,000 applicants. What do you think made you stand out in comparison? Why would they pick you?
Well, we've already briefly touched upon, even though I am a lawyer and my route wasn't straight to law. So, I've done, I'm only still in my late 20s, but I've done quite a lot with my little life. I've been travelling a lot as well. So I think I'm quite confident, and that maybe went back to what I chose to do as a child with the acting and things like that. But obviously I've got really strong academics, and I'm a lawyer. But not only that, I turned a department round in my legal career, and so I've got real demonstratable, if that's the right word, business acumen, and I can show like a breadth of things. And obviously my idea was really interesting. It's completely different. And apps are obviously all the rage. So maybe that was attractive to them as a prospect. I don't know.
If you're interested in watching the video content of this interview and many others, or interested in learning from world leaders and teachers, go to www.thebestyou.online. From an outsider looking in, and obviously I'm a lot older than you, but when I see some of the candidates and you look at some of the people that have actually passed and gone through, you think, well, how is it possible? Why are these people on this program?
Yeah.
Did you feel like that when you were on it?
I think it's difficult because, it's a tough process. So, you've got to forgive people maybe weren't on their best days when you saw them. But, it's also about entertainment. This is a very popular format, and it is based around business, and that's at the core of it. But they do need viewing figures, so they do want people who are going to entertain, and they do get it right. You can't argue with that. People, they love to hate the candidates, but, I'm sure they do that for a reason. But, I'm going to be very kind and say everybody has something to give.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. And somebody has something to learn. What about your thoughts? I mean, what is he like? I mean, is he, you see what you get, Sir Alan Sugar?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is, we don't really see him other than when you see him, because he comes to introduce the tasks, and we see him in the boardroom. But we don't go around to his house for dinner or anything like that. So I always say, because that's a popular question, that he's just like what you think he is. So if you think he's a lovely, cuddly, nice, astute man, then he is. If you think he's a bit mean and nasty in the boardroom, then he is, because we only see what you see, because they keep it that way on purpose to keep the format fresh and real.
It must have been extremely valuable and helpful, I suppose, for you anyway. You must have learned a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I learned so much in the actual filming of it, but since then, it's been very valuable, of course. Between when they filmed and when it aired, I was able to actually go out there and make a business rather than just have a business idea. So the Link app was up and running. It's in the App Store. So I actually genuinely was able to talk about the difference I thought my business would make to the legal industry and to clients of law firms, and that was really valuable. Obviously, the press on the back of that. But yeah, I mean, just what an experience in life. I'm always, a sort of carpe diem sort of person, and if you presented with an opportunity like that, I think why not?
So yeah, tell me specifically the Link app. Obviously, it's something you thought about over a few years ago, and you've been developing it. Tell me exactly what's it for and how does it work?
So the Link app is a communication tool. It's revolutionary in that space. It's an app for law firms to communicate with their own clients. So if you're, for example, selling a property and you need to be kept in the loop, as all clients do, you would get push notifications sent directly to your phone, so directly to the app. And then you'd be able to track your case via the app. And it's an alternative and a more productive way for lawyers to communicate with their own clients. Because the more productive they are, the quicker the transaction is, the more cost-effective the transaction is. And, we are in a modern world, and this is the way that people are demanding communication be via mobile. And let's face it, we've all got our mobile phones stuck to us almost 24 hours a day, be it a good thing or a bad thing. But, we're utilising that technology to really make a difference to that space.
Brilliant. And how is it going? How's the sales going?
Yeah, I mean, it's early days for the product, and obviously it's a sort of a change in, an attitude, I suppose, for the legal world. But yeah, really positive. I've received some really great feedback. The market are receptive to it. I was at a conference yesterday that was all about, how technology is going to really change the legal industry as a whole, not just my product, but, there's lots happening. It's a shifting base, really. And, it's an exciting time for legal practice, and, something I really hope that we all embrace as lawyers, because, it's happening, and technology is there to improve our day-to-day functions, basically.
Absolutely. So you were actually giving some great advice before about, youth of today. I always ask the question, it's difficult for people maybe at university or maybe not even at university, still thinking what they want to do in life. And you were saying, try things out. What do you think the best assets are to have if you want to go out either to the world, either work for someone or become an entrepreneur? What do you think the best advice is?
Well, I mean, obviously, depending on which route you would like to take. I think academics are still important, maybe less so than they used to be. I know because there's obviously a saturation of people in England with degrees, but that's still a main focus, but I think actual work experience. So one of the things that I think made me stand out compared to other candidates when I was interviewing for many roles was that I've always worked. So be it from being 15 working in a shop, when I was at uni, I was still working 20 hours a week in local government because, I wanted to have that experience behind me. I wanted to obviously fund a good lifestyle, to be able to go on holiday with my friends and things like that. And I think that makes you stand out because, even at 21, I'd been working for, 4 or 5 years. And then when I went on to do different things, like I say, even something that may look in one CV to be a mistake, like if you took a gap year, for example, and you travelled, you're actually picking up skills that you might not realise, but interpersonal skills, embracing other cultures. I think the hardest task is to stand out. If your CV is written, you need to have something different from the guy that's going to interview next to you. And yeah, it's a breadth of experience, I would say.
That's great advice. Thank you. With the things that you've learned in life, what in particular has helped you most to be who you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think attitude is so important, and this is much easier to say than it is to do because I know we all have bad days and good days, but I think you can look at things multiple ways and usually good or bad. So, for example, somebody might have taken being fired from The Apprentice as, a bad thing and abandoned that idea, etc. But to me, it was just only ever going to spur me on to, it was extra determination to do that, to prove to the world that, my business and me as a businesswoman will be successful. So I think it's monitoring your own thoughts almost. If you look at a situation, is this glass half full or is it half empty? And you may automatically always be thinking it's half empty, but it's stopping and thinking, are my thoughts positive enough? Is this going to spur me on? Is this going to drive me forward? And it doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you check what you're thinking constantly and change that into a positive rather than a negative, you can really make a difference to your day. And I think and that comes with age as well. I don't mean to sound patronising, but it's easier to do the older you get, to be happier in your own skin, to be grateful for whatever it is that you've got. So that's what I'd be pushing positivity whenever you can.
That's great advice. Thank you. What's your attitude towards learning? I would think or suppose that you read a lot, or maybe what is it you like?
You know what? I don't read recreationally almost at all because, obviously, I'm aware what's in the media and I'm quite prevalent on social media and things like that, and obviously magazines and things that I get enjoyment out of. But actually, academic reading, I had to do so much to study to become a lawyer that the sight of a book almost makes me quiver. So I think you learn in different ways. I think I've spent a lot of time in Southeast Asia, for example, which I would argue is, invaluable learning, embracing another culture, travelling and things like that. Whereas actual academic study, I wouldn't choose now to further myself academically in anything unless I needed it. But you learn from watching documentaries on the TV, from watching interviews such as this, for example. I would watch other people interviewing and you might just pick up little bits, and that's learning to me as opposed to actual book learning.
Okay. What does the future hold for you? What are you planning?
So the Link app is fairly new. So obviously, that's obviously about getting it rolled out throughout the UK first and then see where we go from there. That's my big focus. Anybody that follows me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, will see that I'm mad keen on fitness. So I'm always looking for the new way to stay in shape and to inspire other people to do so as well. So I'll keep focusing on that. Just generally, I think the relationships with friends and family are really important. So I work awfully hard because I'm still a practicing lawyer as well. But when I get some downtime, I try and make sure that I'm either in the gym or travelling or spending time with the people that matter most to me. So it's just more of the same, really. Because I'm so early in the business, I just want to see, obviously, that take off. And then who knows? It's exciting. It's exciting. I mean, I've started to do some public speaking. Luckily, people have pegged me as a bit of an inspirational character and a role model, which is really high praise indeed. So I'm doing public speaking now. I'm looking to get involved in events. I've been asked to comment on stuff as a legal expert as well. So that's all, really, really positive, and just we're all hoping to make a difference, right?
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you. And my last question, what is it you would like your legacy to be in many, many, many years from now?
I would like, obviously the obvious one is the business. I would like it to be, a global success, and obviously everybody, a household name for the Link app. That would be great. But for me personally, one of the best things about appearing on The Apprentice was how the public perceived me, and the feedback that I got was so, so positive. That was really encouraging. People sort of said they thought my character was great. They really warmed to me, that I was inspirational. And if I could inspire other people to do something, whether that's fitness, whether that's law, whether that's business, just actually make a difference to people, that would be fantastic.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And thank you very much for watching Inspiring People. Thank you. For more information, go to www.thebestyou.co.